Well, Ahsoka episode 7 happened, and all it is just mindless filler. Keep in mind, we're on the second to last episode, and did anything happen? No! Ahsoka episode 7, Dreams and Madness. I don't know why it's called Dreams and Madness, because the only madness in the show is actually watching it. The episode opens up on Coruscant, as we see Hera in front of Mon Mothma's committee. Senator Xiono begins pressing her about disobeying orders.
I see, and you protected the New Republic by ignoring direct orders.
No, I protected the New Republic by ignoring you.
Wow, sick burn, Hera. I have no idea why she's just freely able to say this in court without being punished further, but whatever, I guess I can just disrespect a judge in a courtroom, so that's cool. Also, I think it's funny that Hera thinks that she's protecting the New Republic when she clearly didn't. You clearly messed up. And you also brought a child. Your game plan was terrible.
Senator Xiono, can we at least agree that General Syndulla's actions brought to light that there was an incident on Satos?
An incident, yes. But this report reads like a child's fairy tale. Jedi, false Jedi, star maps, star whales, distant galaxies. Honestly, are we to believe any of it?
Yes, Xiono, you should believe this, considering that you have plenty of prisoners to interrogate, and you have eyewitness accounts of Ahsoka being there, along with the HK-class assassin droid and an Inquisitor. And I don't understand why you're saying that space whales in other galaxies are fairy tales, considering that we have plenty of documentation through the Jedi archives, and the data on them most likely exists in other databases. It's also really funny that he thinks Jedi are fairy tales, even though Hera's son is literally a Force user. And I also fail to believe that the Jedi Order were the only ones aware of Purgle and intergalactic travel. Hera should have an incredibly solid case here, but for some reason she is completely incompetent and doesn't understand how to gather evidence, but whatever. Dave Filoni needs the committee to put her on trial, and the only way to do this is to make both Hera and the committee completely inept. Then the guy from Mando acknowledges that Mandalorian Season 3 happened, and that's probably not the best thing to do considering how the Mandoverse just doesn't make sense at all if you try to explain it. Also, the senator just blows it off like it's nothing, even though that they were making Force-sensitive clones there, but okay. It's clearly just an inconvenience. Also, Senator Xiono keeps insisting that Hera has no proof when she clearly does, but I already went over that, so I'm just gonna move on.
I motion that General Syndulla be court-martialed for disobeying a direct order.
Senator Xiono is correct. Hera should 100% be court-martialed based on the fact that she brought a child into a military operation, which is a war crime. But nobody in this courtroom has acknowledged this, purely based on the fact that Dave Filoni is totally oblivious to the damage that he's caused to the characters that he created. Anyway, then C-3PO shows up because we need them cameos, baby. He has shown up on behalf of Senator Organa, but I don't understand why Leia isn't here. Well, I do understand why. Lucasfilm doesn't like recasting for some reason, and they love making CGI monsters powered by AI voices. And I know that they didn't have the guts to do it here, because number one, they would make it look terrible considering that the rest of the CGI in the show also doesn't look good, and number two, they would 100% be blasted by the entirety of the internet because of this. Oh, and number three, if they brought Leia back in either a recast or a CGI monster, there is an 100% chance that they would completely character assassinate the character of Leia Organa, considering that she's already been damaged in previous dialogue in the show, and also is damaged in the Mandoverse as well. And by the way, she didn't even show up in any of this. She was just mentioned, and it did damage to her character. So it's guaranteed that Dave would have no idea how to actually write the character, and he would probably do what he does best: completely rewrite who she is as a character and dumb her down so that she is forced to fit in his story. Pretty much the same thing he did with Anakin Skywalker and even Mon Mothma. Anyway, C-3PO then states that Leia approved Hera's mission at some point during or after the committee meeting, and Mon Mothma just says GG and dismisses the court. Okay. Then Mothma talks to Hera, confronting her about knowing that Leia did not approve this mission.
I don't know what you and Leia are playing at, but I know she did not authorize your mission.
She did. Eventually.
Okay, I assume by eventually, Hera means that Leia approved the mission after the mission actually took place, which means that Leia was completely okay with the fact that Hera just led 2 New Republic pilots to their death and also brought a child into a military operation, which again is a war crime. Anyway, Mon Mothma asks how likely Thrawn's return is, and Hera says that they should prepare for the worst. And you know, she is right. And it's pretty funny how the New Republic has decided to demilitarize at this point, even though that is the worst thing to do at this point in time. Whether or not Thrawn is coming back, good job, Mon Mothma, you're so smart. Anyway, cut to Ahsoka and Huyang with the space whales, and Ahsoka is training. And in the background, we see a hologram of Anakin walking around the room. And he says this:
"In this war, you will face more than just droids. General Grievous, Asajj Ventress, even Count Dooku. You could face any one of them on the battlefield."
I get the reference. I love key jangling. Also, I have no idea what Ahsoka is doing here. This lightsaber training is just as clunky as the rest of the fight scenes. At least the show is consistent in being terrible. Anyway, Huyang comes in.
He made 20 or more of these recordings. This was his last one.
Very thoughtful. I never realized.
I'm surprised that Huyang doesn't already know about these recordings, considering that Huyang apparently knows everything and has the entirety of the Jedi archives in his database, but for some reason doesn't have training videos. If anything, I would assume that he would have these, since his job during the Republic was to oversee younglings getting their lightsabers. But I guess Dave Filoni just forgot what Huyang's job was. Then they go to the cockpit and they start to talk about what to do next. Then Huyang says this:
I would point out that you are assuming the Star Whales have brought us to the correct galaxy, let alone the same system or even the same planet where Lady Ren was taken.
And yeah, Huyang, you're completely right. From Ahsoka's POV, she has no idea where these whales are going, as seen in this clip from episode 5.
You're certain they know where Sabine was taken?
I have no idea.
So yeah, anyway, the whales then exit hyperspace and start getting attacked. Then they fly out of the mouth and we see that Thrawn has set up these space mines around the entry point? Okay. How did Thrawn know where the exact location is where the space whales were going to exit from? And also, why does Thrawn have so many mines available? I thought he said that he was low on resources last time we talked with him. So how would he have so many of these? And if he did have these all along, where were they in the finale of Rebels? Because they would have been pretty useful then. Or did he just make a bunch of bombs and send them into the sky? Okay, doesn't seem like the best resource management, but whatever. Thrawn is a tactical genius. It seems like it would take a considerable amount of time to set up these mines, considering how many there are. But I guess that they just spawned here. Anyway, Ahsoka and Huyang make their way out of the minefield, and the Eye sends out ships to attack them. Then Ahsoka decides to go into the ring of the planets, and this is just apparently made up of bones. I am now calling this place the Bone Zone, by the way. This is its official name. You cannot fight me on this. Cut to Enoch telling Thrawn that the minefield detected whales, and it even detected Ahsoka's ship, identifying it as a T6 class Jedi shuttle, which is just astounding. Again, I say, I thought Thrawn was low on resources. Then Morgan comes by and gives Thrawn all the information that the Inquisitor database had on Ahsoka Tano. And you know what? I'm actually going to compliment Dave here. It makes complete sense that Morgan would go to the Inquisitorial database to find information, and it makes complete sense for the Inquisitors to have a database of Jedi killed or alive to keep tabs on them and make their scouting and searching process more efficient. This database would probably be sourced from the information from the Jedi archives, which is why they would know so much about Ahsoka's past. The only problem with this is how that ties into the other shows and movies in the franchise, but for the sake of brevity, I'm going to stop here. Good job, Dave. You made a slightly good thing today, and for once didn't make a terribly lazy excuse. Thrawn starts reading the database and sees that Ahsoka's master is Anakin Skywalker. And of course, like everyone else in the show, he probably 100% knows that Anakin became Vader. I've said it before, but I say it again. It really bothers me how many people just know that Anakin is Vader, even though it was one of the tightest kept secrets in all of the galaxy. The only people that should know are Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Organa. Ahsoka being the case where she fully realized who it was while she was fighting him. But now we have Reva from Kenobi, who not only knows that Anakin Anakin is Darth Vader, but also knows that he has children, and that is based off information that is catastrophic to the overall plot. Baylan Skoll, who knows this because, well, we actually have no idea how he found this out, but whatever. He probably gained access to a script through the Force or something. And now we have Thrawn, which on the surface, I'm okay with this, but since we've seen how easy it is to learn this information, it makes the payoff so much less effective. Tarkin in some of the books learned that Anakin was Darth Vader on pure assumptions, basing his opinion on how Darth Vader commanded troops and how he fought with his lightsaber. It would be cool to explain how Thrawn figured it out, considering that they've fought together near the end of the Clone Wars, but we probably won't get an explanation because Dave Filoni simply doesn't have the time for that. Cut to Ahsoka in the Bone Zone, as she's dodging as much debris as she can and decides to land on a big bone. They then start talking about how the enemy has already found Thrawn, and Huyang decides to scan for where Sabine is. Cut to Ezra and Sabine, and she is catching him up on things that happened since he's been gone. The Empire was defeated on the Battle of Endor.
The Emperor died.
That's what people say.
Dave, I see what you're doing here. I just want to say real quick, if you at any point truly believe that Dave Filoni, Lucasfilm's golden boy, was going to retcon the sequel trilogy, you're a fool. A plain old dummy. Imagine listening to grifters on the internet. Anyway, then Sabine starts talking.
You know, I was beginning to think we'd never find you.
How did you?
What?
Find me. You never said.
It's complicated.
Okay, are we just gonna continue to just ignore what Sabine did and betrayed Ahsoka and put the entirety of the galaxy at risk of Thrawn's return? Oh, we are? Cool. Got it. Then we see Baylan and Shin, and they have caught up to Sabine and Ezra. It's almost like hunting down Ezra is a really simple and easy thing to do, and there's no reason why Thrawn wouldn't have hunted him down and killed him during the 10 years of his banishment. But whatever, Thrawn is a tactical genius. Cut to Thrawn talking to the Great Mothers, and he asks them to find Ahsoka in the debris. They then get in a circle and start using their magic balls to triangulate their position. Cut to Huyang and Ahsoka trying to locate Sabine, and Huyang says that it was unsuccessful. Ahsoka then says that she can try to contact her through the Force. Cut to Sabine, and she hears Ahsoka's voice calling to her, and then Ahsoka is able to locate her. Cut back to the Great Mothers, and they locate Ahsoka with ease. Wow, how incomprehensibly convenient that Ahsoka tapped into the Force just at the right time for the Great Mothers to get her exact location. And wait, if it's that easy, why haven't they done this before to hunt down Ezra? Thrawn, do I need to sit you down? Ezra has been the biggest threat to your plan for the past 10 years. And if the rule is that Ezra needs to be tapped into the Force for the Mothers to be able to locate and pinpoint his location, this is still really easy to do. Let's break this down for you. Number 1, when Ezra was stranded here and lost in the wilderness, I assumed that he would at least try to contact someone he knows through the Force to tell them that he is at least okay. Number 2, Ezra has shown that he is still in tune with the Force, which means that he would have been training himself daily to keep up with his discipline, and especially his skills with the Force, considering he no longer has a lightsaber. This implies that Ezra would be doing a routine of meditation to become closer to the Force. So why hasn't Thrawn been hunting him down using the Night Sisters magic? This magic is incredibly OP, and if I was Thrawn, I would be doing this 24/7 to get Ezra as fast as possible. And adding on to that, it's crazy to me that Thrawn hasn't found him already, considering that both Sabine and Baylan were able to find him within 24 hours. The main argument against this is that Thrawn would be low on resources and simply can't find Ezra, which is just untrue considering that he has access to thousands of landmines and has a completely restored Star Destroyer. If I were Thrawn, I would send out my best men on horseback to talk to the locals and find Ezra's position. Then I would have them scout out to make sure Ezra is confirmed to be taking refuge with these Koopa people, and also to see what the Koopa people have in terms of weaponry. And then I would either attempt to raid the village and kill the civilians until Ezra reveals himself to protect the locals, and then shoot him dead. Or the more efficient way to do this is simply carpet bombing the entirety of the area using the space landmines, which have been shown to have tracking capabilities. And then once I'm done with that, I would have every man I have hunting down any civilians that could have survived, destroying them and looking for the body of Ezra. But whatever, Thrawn is a tactical genius. Anyway, Ahsoka starts taking fire because the Mothers found them so conveniently. Thrawn then tells them to send the fleet back to engage Ahsoka. Cut to Sabine and Ezra traveling, and Baylan and Shin have found them. Anyway, Baylan says this.
Contact Thrawn. Kill Sabine Wren and Ezra Bridger, then take your place in the coming Empire.
You won't help?
Your ambition drives you in one direction. My path lies in another.
Okay, this is just baffling. Thrawn and Morgan specifically sent you out here to kill Ezra and Sabine. It's only natural for you to have two people do this to even the odds. But oh no, Baylan just goes somewhere else, because if he were to enter the fight, Ezra would be dead no matter what, since he doesn't have a lightsaber. This is the same problem from episode 4, by the way. If you need to kill someone, you should be doing it together to ensure your victory, but whatever. Just send Shin out there to deal with them. Then Baylan starts talking again.
One parting lesson, Shin. Impatience for victory will guarantee defeat.
God, you're insufferable. I don't understand why people like you. Cut to Thrawn, and Enoch tells him that they have received a signal from Shin, and Thrawn tells them to send out the troops. Cut to Ezra and Sabine, and they're getting attacked by bandits, and in classic Dave Filoni fashion, these Koopa people are completely incapable of defending themselves, and just have slingshots. One of the Koopa's houses gets taken down, and Ezra tells Sabine that they can't leave him, so he and the rest of the cars circle around into a defense formation. Cut to Ahsoka, and she continues to fight off the fighters with Huyang. Then she goes and jumps out of the ship for some reason, but before that, this happens. Okay. I don't know why you need to slide down the ramp other than just simply jumping off. It only elevates the humor of this scene, but whatever, I guess. Then once she goes on the ground and conveniently doesn't have any bones broken, she sees Baylan and he says this.
This is a surprise. Didn't expect to see you again.
So what do you mean when you said that you were leaving Shin to fight Ezra? Like, are you just lazy and just want to sit in a field of rocks all day? Or are you just being vaguely mysterious again? No answer? Okay, cool, moving on. Cut back to Ezra and Sabine hands him his lightsaber. And he does this.
Do your thing.
What thing?
It's your lightsaber. Take it.
You keep it.
What?
I don't need it. Besides, you've been training.
Very funny.
No, I'm serious.
Take it.
I gave it to you. It's yours now.
At least take a blaster.
No. The Force is my ally. That's all I need.
Okay. Now I'd like to make something clear. In theory, is it a reasonable choice to not use a lightsaber in this fight? Yes? Hold on, let me explain. Since Ezra has been stranded on this planet for 10 years and hasn't had a lightsaber since then, he would still need some way to defend himself. So if he cultivated his own style of force karate or martial arts, something along those lines, in theory he could be more efficient at his new martial arts skill rather than his skills with a lightsaber, because it is likely that he could possibly be rusty. I'm not saying that he would be completely inept with a lightsaber, I'm just saying that it could take a couple minutes to jog his memory and regain his skills with a lightsaber. And during these awkward minutes of rustiness, he would be open to attack. And I'll be honest, seeing a Jedi not use a lightsaber and only use the Force is a pretty cool idea, and it has a chance to create some really cool choreographed fights. But that's the thing. This is the Ahsoka show, which means by default, the idea of there being well choreographed fights is dead, since up till now, every fight has been absolutely clunky, nonsensical, and downright terrible. And the following fight stays consistent with my statement. And wait, Ezra, what did you say again?
Force is my ally. That's all I need.
Okay, but you're completely okay with using a blaster. Okay, that's crazy. And he also almost dies fighting Shin, and then gets force pushed into a house and is out of the fight. Wow, okay. So much for the whole, the Force is the only thing I need thing, because from my point of view, you just got owned. Also in this fight, he looks like he has Lego hands. It's just funny. Not a critique, just a funny observation. Cut back to Ahsoka and Base Huyang carpet bombs both Ahsoka and Baylan, but sadly, both of them live for some reason, and Ahsoka steals Baylan's horse. And then we get this really long shot of Baylan just looking around. This show has a bad habit of doing this, by the way, and it's not the first time. Just these really long exiting shots of people just standing there with no substance. Then cut back to Huyang and Ezra negotiating with Shin, and Ahsoka shows up on a horse like an episode of a late 90s TV show. And then they just automatically win, which is crazy to me. The rest of the troops just leave because Daddy Thrawn said so, and then the episode just ends. Yeah, that's it. That's the rest of the episode. It's done. God, what a terrible piece of storytelling. I'm not even doing an outro. Goodbye.